Your world now needs individuals to advance in this understanding because they can give to the world something that the world cannot give itself. You need help from beyond the world to prepare for the greater community. How can you prepare yourself? You do not know what is out there. You do not know the political and economic situation as it exists even within your part of the universe. You do not know how to defend yourself, and you do not know who to defend yourself against. How will you tell who is friendly and who is not? Your visitors will be able to present any number of images or demonstrations to you. How will you know what they are doing unless you can read their intelligence? And how can you read their intelligence if you are not developed in the mental environment? How can you discern their purpose if you are not skilled in the greater community way of knowledge? How can you match a race that is thousands of years more advanced than you in technology? The only way that you can advance, and the only way that you will be able to interpret, discern and contend with forces from the greater community is through the development of knowledge. This is true because knowledge is the only part of your mind that cannot be influenced or dominated. It is the only part of your mind that is pure. It cannot be infiltrated. It cannot be manipulated, either in the mental or in the physical environment. It is unaffected by technology. It is unaffected by the demonstrations of power. It is unaffected by the manipulations of fear. It is the only part of you that is free. Therefore, the more you associate with knowledge and become united with knowledge, the freer you will become, the more capable you will be in encountering new experiences and new forces in life, and the more able you will be to discern your visitors' motives and activities beyond any appearance. Perhaps you cannot yet realize the importance of this. That is because your mind is referenced in the past. The greater community was not relevant in your past, generally speaking, unless of course you have had greater community contacts in this life. However, most people will have to go beyond their past referencing and what they can relate to our experience in order to entertain the greater wisdom that is being presented here. Our words convey important messages, but most importantly they can incite a deep response in you, if you can give that response and feel it. If you know how to prepare for the future, you will know what to do today. If you know what to do today, you will be freed from what you did yesterday. For your future will be unlike your past, very unlike your past. Your future will give you possibilities and challenges that your ancestors never dreamed of. You have allies in the greater community. They understand what you will be facing. They have faced these things themselves. They understand what you will have to contend with, for they have had to contend with these things themselves. They know what the development of knowledge means and how it must be carried out within societal life, for they have accomplished this themselves. You will not meet these individuals. They will not jump on board a spacecraft and travel a long distance to your planet. They will not come and speak to the President of the United States or the United Nations or any government or group here. But they do speak to those who can be initiated into knowledge. And they speak through means that can bridge the great gulf of time and space. They do not travel about dispensing and preaching wisdom. Their ideas come via a different kind of a network that is out of reach to even the skillful in planetary governments. We assure you, there are many skillful individuals and groups in the greater community who, if you encountered them without your being strong with knowledge, would be able to discern and control your thoughts and make you think what they want you to think. They are that powerful and effective. As you can now influence and manipulate your physical environment to a certain degree, they have learned to influence and manipulate the mental environment to an even greater degree. But they cannot influence knowledge. In fact, they may not even be aware of knowledge. Perhaps you are beginning to get an image or an idea of what is being presented here. There is an effort in the greater community to foster good. It represents the way God works in physical existence, which is behind the scenes and through inspired individuals. God does not intervene. God does not control everything for everyone because God is wise. God knows better. God works behind the scenes through inspired individuals and through united relationships at all levels, at the level of individuals, families, groups, cities, nations and worlds. There are greater powers at work that assist humanity and that serve humanity. They ask nothing in return except that you study the way of knowledge and become serious students who learn to look beyond your personal interests and fears in order to see beyond the limiting ideas of your mind. They ask that you begin to feel, to see, and to ask that knowledge reveal itself to you. They ask that you gain a greater ability, with patience and reverence for life. What can you give them in return except to receive their gifts? They do not need your wealth. They certainly do not need your ideas. They do not need anything from the world, except for humanity to learn to live in peace with itself and to contend successfully with the greater community. This is a great enough challenge for an emerging world. The harem extend over vast regions. They are associated with each other through the unseen ones, who communicate with them and who deliver messages for them. The unseen ones represent your spiritual allies who work on behalf of worlds individually and worlds together. For now, it is important for you to consider that you are not alone in the physical universe. In the greater community, there are societies that exist at every stage of evolution, and there are societies that have failed for every reason. There are societies at war. There are societies at peace. There are societies that trade. There are societies that do not trade. There are societies that belong to commercial guilds. There are societies that do not belong to commercial guilds. There are societies that travel in space. There are societies that do not travel in space. There are societies that are primitive. There are societies that have beginning technology, such as your own. And there are societies that have gone beyond the limits of technology into new kinds of education and development. There are societies that have been defeated. There are societies that have been victorious. There are societies that have gone into hiding. There are societies that search from star to star for a home. There are societies that are exclusively engaged in commerce. There are societies that are law-abiding and civil. There are societies which are not. There are societies that are physically strong, and there are societies which are not. If you can consider these ideas, you will think of examples within your own world. Yet consider how much greater is the panorama of life in the greater community, and how much stronger are the opposing forces there. One benefit here is that the physical universe is quite large. And though space travel is actively carried on, more actively in certain areas than in others, no one can get around that quickly. The universe is too big, and therefore societies such as yours can live in relative isolation for a very long time. There are worlds in the greater community that have never been discovered by other races. The universe is too vast. There are unexplored regions in the greater community, and there are regions that are largely inhabited. There are regions where it is safe to travel, and there are regions where it is not safe to travel. There are regions that are defended and protected, and there are regions that are not. You live in a great municipality of life. It is as if humanity were just venturing out of the house for the first time and beginning to explore its front and backyards. You do not even know your neighborhood yet. In this neighborhood, there are big kids on the block, but you are the little tiny kid who does not know anything. How will you prepare for life in the greater community? Many people think that they will simply export human culture and religion and attempt to persuade others of the superiority of their morals and ethics. However, honestly speaking, humanity at this time makes a very poor demonstration. Its great accomplishment is occurring on the individual level and on the level of small groups and associations. On the level of nations and races and cultures, your behavior is still very primitive and brutish. We are not being cruel here. We are simply giving you a greater community perspective. How will you prepare for the greater community? You will prepare through knowledge. Technologically you are way behind. In your social cohesion you are way behind. You are just beginning to realize the need now for a world community.